And we are live with a Needlework official launch. This is Needlework, a brand new novel by renowned Appalachian queer writer Julia Watts. I am so thrilled to be here today with Julia. She's going to be reading a little bit from the book and be in conversation with Aimee Herman. And let's bring them both up to the screen and I'll tell you both a little bit about them. Julia, there's Julia, welcome. Julia was born in southeastern Kentucky. She's the author of many novels. How many novels?
Oh, I think 18, around there.
Yeah. For adults and young adults. She's
Yes.
amazing. So many of the novels are based in Appalachia and feature queer youth. Her newest novel, Needlework, was released yesterday by Three Rooms Press. I am the co-director of Three Rooms Press. My name is Kat George. And Julia lives in Knoxville with her family and assorted pets, one of whom maybe occasionally make an appearance here. Jake. Okay, and Julia will be in conversation with Aimee Herman. Welcome, Aimee. Hello. And Aimee is a two-time Pushcart nominated novelist, poet, and performance artist, currently based in Brooklyn, soon to be based in Boulder. And she's the author of the Three Rooms Press book, Everything Grows, and 2 books of poetry, To Go Without Blinking and Meant to Wake Up Feeling. Her work has been all over the place. She's a fantastic writer and plays ukulele in her poetry band, Hydrogen Jukebox. So tonight we're talking about, we'll get back to both Aimee and Julia in just a minute. I want to tell you a little bit about the book. So tonight we're going to talk about Needlework, as I said. And Needlework is based in rural Kentucky. A 16-year-old boy loves quilting, cooking, and Dolly Parton, helps his grandma with his opioid-addicted mother, discovers a family secret that upends everything he's ever believed. School Library Journal just came out with one of the best School Library Journal reviews I've heard, saying Watts' engaging book addresses timely topics like addiction, homophobia, and racism, but her gentle and heartwarming prose make this book a comfort read. Her main character, Cody, is sweetly honest, and it's highly recommended. Publishers Weekly also said, highly recommended. LAMBDA Literary included Needlework as one of 8 queer young adult books that they recommended for this fall. And Kirkus Reviews says the overall tone is hopeful, not unlike a Dolly Parton song. So again, here is Julia and Aimee Herman. So I'm going to go ahead and just let you two have at it and just talk a little bit about the book. So enjoy.
Hello, Julia.
Hi, Aimee.
How are you feeling right now?
Oh, I'm very excited about the book being out. I had lots of people yesterday wishing me happy book birthday, and I've decided that I like book birthdays better than real birthdays. I've got a real birthday coming up. I'm not going to celebrate that one as much as a book birthday, I don't think.
Well, speaking of birthdays, I'm wondering if you would share the birth story of this book, how it came together, the seed of it, maybe how it shifted and changed as you wrote it.
Yes. Well, I think that one thing that was really haunting me as an Appalachian and as an Appalachian writer was the opioid crisis, which is not just Appalachian, but has certainly been especially decimating in Appalachia. And I was having a conversation with my parents on the phone one night, and they mentioned that in the pew in front of them in church that morning, the entire pew was taken up with grandparents who were raising their grandchildren. And the reason they were raising their grandchildren is because the parents had lost custody because of substance abuse problems. And just that image of that whole row of grandparents really stayed with me. So so I think that was the first thing, thinking about all the grandparents who are doing the heavy lifting of parenting again, right? When they thought that all they would have to do was, spoil kids and send them home from then on. And then the stories for me always start with a character. So once Cody came to me, and I don't know how he came to me, this little Dolly Parton fan, Dolly Parton obsessed gay boy who has been raised by his grandmother for the reasons that I just mentioned, and his voice came to me, and he started talking to me, and that's how the book really got started.
Mm. And so here we have this book, and we can put it on our bookshelves, and it's got a beautiful cover, and there's so much gorgeous language. It is a great cover, and there's so much beautiful language in this. When we read a book, I'm an avid reader. I read as though I'm like I've never eaten, and I'm just devouring. And I'm always curious as a reader and as a writer. The process of revising. Can you share what it was like to you have this story and the process of editing it or changing some things around? What shifted through the time that you were writing this novel?
Oh, sure. I love revision too. It's just so much fun. I think that you've got the whole manuscript in some sort of shape, probably not the greatest, but in some sort of shape in front of you. And getting to go in and really play with it on a sentence by sentence level. The way that I revise too, and this is with everything, my first draft is always handwritten. I like to write on yellow legal pads. Something about that just works for me. And so then the first revision is when I'm typing it into the computer. So have to think about every word that's there because I'm typing it, and so that seems to be the method that works best for me. In terms of what I especially looked at in revising, this is in Cody's voice. It's a first person narrative, and so I had to make sure that I was true to his voice and his thoughts and feelings throughout. Would Cody really think and feel this? Is this too sophisticated for where he is right now in his life? Is this the way Cody would say this? So focusing on his voice was the biggest thing. I also wanted to make sure that I was fair to his mother as a character, to Mommy, who is a frustrating character sometimes because of her addiction. But, at the same time, I wanted to show that there was really love there between them. And so the scenes with Cody and his mom were scenes that I worked really hard on as I revised.
And you treated that so carefully, because with addiction, it can be written about or expressed in television and film as almost like a caricature, and it's a disease, and
exactly
to be treated like that. And so as a reader, I was very moved by that she existed off the page and was a human and not just this person, addicted.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And I mean, as I'm sure a lot of people watching know, I mean, the thing about opioids and people who end up addicted to them is usually they start taking it for a legitimate medical reason, right? And that was the case with her. She was in a car accident. A lot of people, rural people especially, they injure themselves doing some kind of job. The jobs that are available to you in rural Appalachia are often pretty hard, physical, dangerous jobs. So you hurt yourself in the mines, you hurt yourself in the sawmill. You need this medicine at first for a legitimate reason, but then, you end up needing it for other reasons too. And it's too hard to control.
Did you always have the idea of writing in Cody's voice? Was it always going to be first person?
It was, because as I said, he just sort of started talking to me, and that's how it is when things come out in first person. It's like, that I get this character's voice in my head. With Quiver, my previous novel, it was actually two different first person narrators. But yeah, this was all Cody.
How do you read when you're working on a novel? Do you gravitate toward books that are the complete opposite of what you're writing about, or do you tend to feast on as many books that have to do with what you're working on?
Oh, that's a really great question. I think in terms of subject matter, I do want to make sure that I read other books that are on similar subjects, such as addiction, because I want to make sure that I'm not reinventing the wheel, to use a cliche. In terms of style, though, I have to be real careful when I'm writing. That I don't, if I'm reading fiction, that I don't incorporate the voice of another author, right? Somebody that I'm like, wow, this is a great book. This one can really write. And then I'll accidentally find myself, imitating this person. I'm like, no, that's not what I meant to do. So there have been some times when I've had to like back off something that I'm reading, even though I'm loving it, because of where I am in the writing. Particularly if I'm fairly early on and maybe, but I don't feel quite secure in the voice yet. I also read a lot of nonfiction about the opioid crisis when I was writing this. Even though I wasn't going to go into talking about Purdue Pharma and the Sacklers and all that stuff, I wanted to know it. I wanted to know what the big picture was as an author, because I think you kind of need to know that in order to get the smaller picture that you're painting right.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines, and I have many in the book, is on page 16, where you wrote, it's at the very top, "There's beauty around me too, but the mountains are scarred up from mining, like a beautiful woman with a black eye from a beating. The winding country roads are beautiful too, but they're often cluttered with trash." And I love, that's so much of what this book is, the coexistence of beautiful and discovery and observation, but also that jarring interruption of the ugly, the ways in which we can get dented just by being alive. And I wonder if you can talk more about how you feel this around you.
Well, I mean, when I go home to southeastern Kentucky, that's very much what the what the landscape is. You have these the beautiful winding country roads, but people have thrown trash out. Sometimes people, like, it's terrible, but they leave animals out that they can't take care of anymore. My mom and I always, when I was growing up, carried bags of dog food in the car. So, which I think Cody does at some point. Cody and Granny will do too. Mimo do too. And so you can leave out the food for the dogs. You can't take them all, but at least you can make sure that they're eating. And of course, a lot of the economies that sustained Appalachia when it was more economically viable were completely extractive economies, right? In other words, you're ripping out those the natural resources. So mining, has scarred up the mountains tremendously. Mountaintop removal has caused a lot of environmental devastation and unsafe drinking water. And so, yeah, you have you have this beauty all around you, but it's damaged. It's damaged beauty.
Yeah, that's very true. I like the way you said that. And then another theme in this. So we talked about addiction. There's this sense of coming out, coming into oneself. But then there's also the theme of belief, of religion, of spirituality. But what I really loved is that Cody is he's never dismissive of any of the people around him. He wants to believe in the people around him. He never gives up on them. And I think that that's something that we don't often see in a character, that there's not a lot of meanness in this book, even when, you know, his friend is they stop talking, but there's still this sense of wanting to hold on and not dismiss them. Can you talk more about this thread of belief and forgiveness within your book?
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, I think Cody is a person who has he has a lot of faith. You know, he's been raised in a pretty strict religious faith that he knows isn't totally accepting of him, but in terms of his own spirituality, separate of that, he has that. He does not want to be judgmental of people. I think he knows that people are judgmental of him. He knows they're judgmental of his mom. And so, you know, I think he tries to believe the best about people, and be accepting of them the way that that he would want them to accept him. Now, his mom's a real challenge that way sometimes, right? I think that she's probably the biggest challenge for him, because he does want her to get better. He does want her to, you know, be able to be a mom to him, but especially to his younger brother, who's still pretty little, right? And so if anybody tests that belief and that faith, you know, more than once in the novel, it's her. Kat had mentioned the wonderful School Library Journal review of Quiver, and they did describe it as a Christian novel, which I thought was sort of hilarious. But just because that wasn't what I thought I was writing, but I think that's the that's what you're talking about is probably what they were picking up on, is Cody's faith and Cody's belief. And I mean, I'm not saying he's some kind of literary Christ figure. He certainly isn't. But in terms of being forgiving and loving, I mean, you know, those are Christ-like values, I guess.
So Julia, I want to ask you a question that's one of my favorite questions from the New York Times book review, if I may.
Okay.
Which is, if you're organizing a dinner party, what 3 writers, dead or alive, would you invite, and why?
Okay. Oh, wow. Let's see. So, you know, and no disrespect to living writers. I have so many favorite living writers. However, I could still conceivably meet them, right? So I will probably lean more toward to writers who are not alive. You know, how can you not invite Oscar Wilde, right? For witty conversation, and for being, you know, one of our important queer authors. So he would be a very good guest, I think. I have no idea what it would be like to have this person at the same table with Oscar Wilde, but one of my favorite Southern authors who just fascinates me on every level is Flannery O'Connor. I don't know how that would go. This could be a really disastrous dinner party, but it would be interesting. Let's see, they're both of Irish origin. They could talk about that. They could surely find something in common. I don't know, for the third, for sheer brilliance, I mean, James Baldwin would be amazing too. So I don't know. I want to invite more than 3 though, and you only said 3. It's a great question. And I'll keep thinking about it and keep changing my mind. I may email you later and be like, Aimee, no, what I said, no.
You can just keep having dinner parties.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this idea of Oscar Wilde, Flannery O'Connor, and James Baldwin with Julia Watts at a dinner party. What would you eat? Yeah, I mean, wow.
Yeah, that's true. What would you eat? I think I think you could do pretty well with the same foods for O'Connor and Baldwin, but yeah, I'm not sure about Wilde.
Yeah. So maybe some hot chicken from
hot chicken all around.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I could listen to this go on for forever, but we're trying to do try to get in a kind of overview. So I thought maybe we could have Julia read a bit, and then maybe if we have time, we'll come back and ask another question, Aimee, if that's okay with you. And
Sure.
by the way, Matt Hollingsworth said that Flannery O'Connor would be on his list too. So,
Oh, good. I thought he would.
all right. So again,
Though after I said that, I remember that I think there were some little spats that Flannery O'Connor had with James Baldwin. So the dinner party is getting more and more volatile in my mind. So.
That's good. So we're talking tonight about Julia Watts' new book, Needlework. And I have a little banner down here if you were wondering what that was all about. This is a simple little thing, bit.ly/by-needlework. And you can get right to the page, and you can go ahead and get your copy of Needlework. Despite supply side disruption, you can get it. It's ready to go. It's in the warehouse, and they've got new warehouse workers standing by to pick it up for you. So, Julia, let's just have you read for a bit. I'll put you on solo layout, and
Okay.
why don't you tell us where you're starting from and give us any background, and then go for it. All right.
So this is in chapter 2 of the novel. So there's probably not much need for exposition. I mentioned that Cody is a Dolly Parton obsessed gay boy, and so I think if I say that, I can go ahead and start reading, and you'll be able to follow along fine. The best part of my day is always between 4 and 6 p.m. Nanny doesn't get home from work until 6:15, so once the school bus drops me at the end of the holler, I have 2 hours of glorious privacy. Sometimes thinking about having this time ahead of me is the only thing that gets me through the school day. After I greet the dogs and put down my school stuff, I get a glass of juice from the fridge and a cookie or two from the cookie jar, then go straight to my room. I put a Dolly album on the stereo, today it's the best of, and turn it up so loud the neighbors would complain if we had any neighbors. Our closest neighbors are a pasture full of Hereford cattle, and I know in my heart that they love Dolly as much as I do. Once my soundtrack is going, I get my secret box from under the bed. I shuck off my ugly Walmart clothes, including my socks and underwear, and take the first item out of the box, a butter yellow satin kimono embroidered with butterflies. Butterflies are Dolly's favorite, so I was excited when I found the kimono at Goodwill one day when Nanny let me take the car out. Then I take the other items out of the box and arrange them on my dresser: foundation, blush, eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, powder, half a dozen shades of lipstick, and a cheap wig that's really more yellow than blonde. I bought it on clearance at Walmart after Halloween. While Dolly sings, I paint. I don't have much in the way of facial hair yet, so a thin coat of foundation is enough to make my complexion smooth and even. I brush on some blush to highlight my cheekbones, then take my time with the eyeliner because it's the easiest thing to mess up. I make my eyelids and brow lines smoky with eyeshadow and brush on some mascara in noir, which sounds so much more chic than black. I go with my new plum lipstick since I haven't had the chance to try it out yet. I put on the yellow wig and try to brush and fluff the cheap synthetic hair. At first, when I look at the full effect in the mirror, I can only see what's wrong with it. The wig is awful. If I had a bra, I could stuff it, but as it is, I'm flat as an ironing board, and so couldn't be more unlike Dolly in that department. But after I stop seeing what isn't there, I start seeing what is. I've gotten better at makeup, and my face looks, even though I feel a little conceited saying it, pretty. The kimono is no substitute for a real gown, but it does look like something Dolly might wear in the dressing room. And the satin feels so much better against my skin than the cheap, stiff fabric of my Walmart clothes. I feel the best I've felt all day. Why? I don't know. I don't think it's a sex thing exactly, though I feel like I look sexy. And it's not that I want to be a girl all the time. It's more like I have this beautiful little yellow canary inside me that I have to keep locked in a covered cage all day when I'm around other people. And this is the only time of day I can uncover the cage, unlock the door, and let her sing and fly free.
Oh my God, that is so beautiful. Yay. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
Well, that's a gorgeous book. That's from NEEDLEWORK, which is just came out yesterday and has gotten all kinds of rave reviews. And thank you. That was a beautiful part to read. Aimee, have you got one more question you'd like to ask to kind of wrap us up here?
I guess it's a comment question. Julia, I love that scene. And it's like the way that you were able to get into the mind of him, and the way you described it is so beautiful and so accurate in many ways. I just feel like that's so many queer people's stories of trying things on and
Yes.
recognizing themselves for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I don't have a question. I want to say thank you for including that in this book. It's so important.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that I like that. As you're trying things on, and you see yourself. And in the case of Cody, there's always the underside of that is that other people wouldn't see the beauty of it. Or the fear that other people wouldn't see the beauty in it, right? Even though he knows he's beautiful.
All right. Well, thank you both. What a fabulous interview. Aimee, your questions were beautiful and really got me to appreciate needlework even more. Julia, your answers and your writing is gorgeous. Please make sure you pick up a copy. If you pick one up right from this link that you see running at the bottom of your screen there, then that's kind of ordering directly from Three Rivers Press, which is helpful, and we'll get it sent out right away to you. So thank you both again, and have a great evening. All right. See you later.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye.